Hello everyone, welcome to a new year for Michael the Comic Nerd, and we are going to try a whole bunch of new things this year, starting off with, well, this video, I suppose, where I have been getting quite a few questions through email the past couple months, since I put up the email exclusively for these questions, so I figured I would go through them and pick out my favorites, and I would answer them publicly. The authors will remain anonymous, though. I'm not gonna lie and say I've gotten a ton of questions from a whole bunch of different people. It's only been like a few people here and there, but still, they've been pretty respectful and they've asked a lot of great questions, so I'll figure, what the hell, let's make it public. Alright, let's start with question 1. Alright, question number 1, a pretty standard question. What is your favorite film and TV show? Okay, favorite film, There Will Be Blood, hands down, no question, that's always my favorite film, always loved it to death. I think I saw it the first time when I was like 16 or 18, somewhere in that time zone, my late teens. And it was the first film I really saw that really kind of showed me what movies can be. It showed me what they can do with characters and acting and atmosphere and story. It was a big defining film for me. It was an eye-opening film for me that kind of just showed me what movies can be and what they can do and what they can mean. And it was the first one that I think really challenged me in a way that I hadn't been challenged by films before. And I don't think without that film I would have... the show wouldn't exist without that movie, I don't think, because I would not have been interested in film if I had not seen that. So that, it really did a lot for me, and it is just have great performances and great atmosphere. It's definitely a not for everyone kind of movie, but it's always been my all-time favorite. I'll admit there's a little bias there, like a little nostalgic bias there, but even then, I still say the whole time was a great movie. So, favorite TV show on the other hand, honestly, I think I watch a lot more cartoons now than I ever did when I was a kid, because right now I think my favorite shows I watch currently, the ones that are currently on air, are like shows like Adventure Time or Steven Universe or Gravity Falls, although that one's ending soon, which is going to make me very sad. But those shows, I feel like, carry a lot of adult themes and adult writing that I don't think we had when we were kids. I mean, like, I grew up in the 90s. I mean, I watched shows like Rugrats and Wild Thornberrys and fucking Rocket Power. That's just a show that does not hold up. And Harold, stuff like that. But looking back at those shows, I don't know, they're very cheesy. They're very much part of their era. These ones are too. They're a reflection of the current era we live in, but I feel like they're willing to take more risks. They're willing to tell more adult stories. They're willing to take bigger, that's kind of redundant. So I was going to say take bigger chances, but it's kind of redundant. But the point is, like, they're willing to do more with the content, and they're willing to do more with emotions, and they're willing to challenge kids and adults much more than they were when I was a kid. And I think it's great they're doing that. It's really gotten me invested. It makes me very curious to see where these shows are going. More adult shows, maybe shows that are canceled. Of course, I love shows like Breaking Bad. Better Call Saul's great. I don't watch a whole lot of current TV because for me it's just a lot to catch up on, and I don't have a whole lot of time these days. Like, the only shows I think I ever really consistently watched on television were like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And that's really about it. Oh, Community is also one of my all-time favorite shows as well. Love that show to death. I've watched all the episodes a million times. South Park obviously is another really good one. But those are the top ones I can think of off the top of my head that I watch consistently, or I'll rewatch again and again. So, yeah, I think it does it for that question. What's the next one? Alright, question number 2. Who is your favorite actor and actress? Okay, favorite actor, kind of comes back to There Will Be Blood, Daniel Day-Lewis. Always my favorite. For the minute I saw him in There Will Be Blood, knew he was like, that's a great actor. And every movie I've seen him in since then, and I've watched as many as I could track down. Even like going back to his earlier works, what was that even that movie? It was when he was in court. I'm drawing a blank, but like My Left Foot, There Will Be Blood, even like Gangs of New York. He was still great in that movie. The movie wasn't great, but he was still really good in it. Or Lincoln, or whatever movie he's in, he's going to be fantastic in it, regardless of how the rest of the movie turns out. I mean, the man is certifiably insane. His methods acting is absolutely mind-bogglingly insane. But at the same time, it showed. It's such good acting, and it's such great performances every time. He just transforms himself in a way that not a lot of actors can. I have a huge respect and kind of admiration for that. I don't think I could or want to go to the lengths he does to get his performances, but the results speak for themselves. So A lot of people don't like working with him necessarily. I don't know how much of it. I'm sure he seems like a very soft-spoken guy in real life, despite his insane method acting techniques, but I still love his performances to death. I think they're totally worth the effort. And as far as greatest actress goes, a little harder. I wouldn't, like... I'm not sure I would say I have a favorite actress per se. There's a lot of actresses I like, but there's very few that I will go out of my way to go see if she's in it. The only one I can think of off the top of my head would be Amy Adams, I have yet to see her in a movie in the past few years where I have not liked her in it. I think she's a phenomenal actress. I even liked Enchanted, that weird little Disney movie they did a few years back, but... like, she's another one that just completely commits to the roles, no matter how serious or how goofy it is, she will give 100% to it, she's amazing every time. Like Enchanted, or The Muppets, or, American Hustle, that's still, like, my favorite role I've seen her do. Or Her, she was great in that movie. Like, every movie I've seen her in, I've always loved her in, I think she's a great actress. Other actresses I like, not as much as her, but I do like all the same, or like Emma Watson and Emma Stone, I think are both really good. Fuck, is that all the actresses I like? Fuck. I mean, I'm sure there are more. I'm just drawing a blank on them right now. I don't know. I see so many actors and actors these days. Like, it's hard for me to keep track. And like, only if you like Daniel Day-Lewis and Amy Adams really stick on my brain of, oh yes, they can do no wrong. They're fantastic. If you're going actor-wise, John Goodman's one of my all-time favorites too. Like, even his movie is shitty. Like, I mean, Love the Coopers was terrible, but I'm still willing to forgive John Goodman for it, because I love John Goodman. But yeah, I think I take that question for what's question number 3. Alright, question number 3. This is actually 2 separate questions. I just combined them into one. Do you have a favorite male and female animated character? Yes, I would say I do. Okay, favorite male character. Kind of a hard choice. I mean, I watch a lot of animation, so there's a lot of characters I really, really like. I've always loved... And this is not the answer I put in the email, but it's one of those things I thought about in retrospect. I always loved Zoidberg from Futurama. He was always my favorite character in that show. I don't know, I always fall for the characters who are just naturally good people who just get shit on over and over again. Granted, Zoidberg in Futurama is also incredibly incompetent, but still, he's such a nice guy. He's such a nice guy, he gets shit on all the time. But I also love, like, Jack Skellington is also one of my all-time favorites. He's another one of those Disney characters that was kind of the one I clung to growing up, especially in my teenage years. But I've seen Night Before Christmas so many times, I could practically say all the songs right off the top of my head. In fact, I've practiced them in the car sometimes when I get bored. But, so Jack Skellington's definitely one, Zoidberg's another. For a third one, I would say, like, gotta go with Archer from, Archer, because I don't know, that character just so lovably buffoonish and just such a complete asshole. It's just something about it just really fun to watch. And for the sake of simplicity, I'm also excluding anyone from like comic TV shows, stuff like that. Otherwise, I'd have like the obvious choice of like Spider-Man or Wolverine or anything like that. But I'm choosing strictly animated original properties. At least I think they're original properties. But either way. So that's about what I got for male characters. For female characters, the 2 that come immediately to my mind, the characters I love to death, are Mabel from Gravity Falls. She makes me laugh nonstop. Every time she's on screen, just fucking hysterical. Makes me laugh every single time. Love her to death. And I've always really liked Marceline from Adventure Time. She's another one of my all-time favorites. I don't know, there's something from the very first appearance she made in, like, I think it was like season 1 or season 2. Just something about her made me come back to her. And I'm glad it's a character that I've kept coming back to. I wasn't a huge fan of the miniseries they just did with her because I felt that dragged on for way too long. But I've always liked her as a character. Always found her really interesting, very fascinating. And they've done an excellent job of adding layers to her as the show's going on, and usually just the right amount. So that's all been very good. Other characters. I recently started watching Bob's Burgers, so I have to put Luis on this list too, because there's something just about the insane, also played by the same voice actor who does Mabel, obviously, but just something about the insane little girl who's probably going to grow up to be a serial killer. This scene just makes me laugh all the time, so really like her too. Probably not as much as the other two, but she's still really funny. The other thing, I was surprised no one from Steven Universe is on this list, considering I watch the show all the time, and that show is largely populated by women. Maybe it's because that show just works so well as an ensemble cast. I mean, I don't know. I can't think of any necessarily separately. They all just work together. But anyway, I digress. I think it's all got for that question. Let's move on to question 4. All right, question 4, and this one I got to read because it's kind of a long one. During the time you've spent on this show, was there any movie or movies that made you just want to stop and not bother with this anymore? If not, what movies kept you going? Okay, this one is kind of an interesting question, and maybe I literally had to stop and think about this one for a while. But I don't think there's been any movie that I've seen that since doing this show that has made me ever want to quit doing it. I think the reason why is just because of the people that I have collected in my little team over the years. And I think because even when you have a really bad movie, like a god-awful movie, like the worst movie you've ever seen in your life, if you have friends with you just kind of laugh and make fun of it or just bitch about it with, it makes it easier to do, and it's still fun to do. I mean, that's why we keep doing this, even though we don't make that much money. Or it's just the fact that we have so much fun doing it, and we have such good energy with us. And it's like, even if I yell at Patrick for God knows how many time, we never stay angry at each other. Like, no one ever gets their feelings hurt. We all leave on good spirits, and we're all just having fun. And that's why we keep doing the show. It's why we've been kept at it for, God, like over 3 years now. And that's why we're still going to keep doing it until, I don't know, maybe until you finally run out of money. But that's why we keep doing it. It's just for the camaraderie. I mean, if you look back at season 1 of this show, we had to see some truly horrendous pieces of crap in that year. I think in the first month we did the show, we had to review a movie called Movie 43, which was awful. And then there was Good Day to Die Hard, and Scary Movie 5, and 21 and Over, and just so much terrible shit. But because I don't know, like after those movies, I feel like I've developed an immunity to these kind of movies. Not so much that they don't make me angry while I'm watching them, but I have yet to see such a movie so bad that has kept me up at night, at least while doing the review team. I think largely just because that, I've learned how to let that stuff go, and I only get really mad about it when I'm talking about it or when I'm directly thinking about it. But again, it's just the fact that I love doing this stuff. I love talking about movies. I love hanging out with my friends. I love that I have friends that are willing to do this stuff with me. Honestly, I'm just really happy and I'm really proud that we have the group that we have, and I feel very blessed and I'm very thankful that these people are willing to do this with me. And it's because of that I keep doing it. And I hope that we get to do it for a long time from now, and we can keep growing the way that we have. But I think I'm getting away from the original question. So I guess say if movies kept me going, I'm not sure there's any one movie that kept me going on this show. Again, it just comes back to camaraderie, it just comes back to friends, and it just comes back to that. It's just a lot of fun for me. It's really the best therapy that I've ever set up for myself. It really is. It's even the bad movies. It distracts me and it makes me feel happy in a weird way. So, yeah, I hope that answers that question. I know I kind of got a little off the rails there, but anyway, next question. All right, question number, which one are we on? 5. All right. Are there any great role models that pushed you into this? Another great question. I think the obvious influences of the show are pretty obvious. I mean, we obviously took inspiration from like the Nostalgia Critic and the Cinema Snob going into the show. I mean, yeah, a lot of people did. A lot of people have taken influence from them because there were simple ideas, but they were great ideas, and they leave a lot of creativity and a lot of flexibility. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, Mtcn review team was basically built off of the midnight screening concept. It was very clearly a ripoff when we started the show, but I think it's grown more into its own thing as time's gone on, and I'm very happy about that. I think Neil Gaiman had a great quote where he said, you know, when you first start creating, your first instinct is to be copy somebody, but as you keep creating, and I'm paraphrasing the quote obviously, but the more you keep creating, the more you start building your own identity, and the more you build more identity, the more creative stuff you can build off of that, and basically you become your own creator even if you start copying right away. And I think it's kind of what's happened here. We are becoming our own entity, we are trying our own thing, and we're not afraid to try new things. We're still experimenting, we're still trying to find our audience, still trying to very much define our style, but we're getting better as the time goes on. It's becoming less of a ripoff and more into our own identity, which was always the goal. Which was always the goal from the very beginning, was to always just build off of what's been established and make something new out of it. And I think we're getting there. We're not quite there. Still got a little sinus infection, but We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there, and I'm happy that we are. I mean, honestly, we've made so much progress in the last few years. It really has been amazing, and I hope that grows as this year goes on, especially when we got a whole bunch of new options available to us that we didn't have before. But going back to the question, though, as far as, like, comedic personal influences go, personal role models that got me into, like, comedy and stuff like that, I would say there are three main comedic role models that really inspired my sense of humor and really kind of helped develop me to who I am. The first one, which I think would be fairly obvious when people listen to how I talk and how I riff off stuff, is Robin Williams. Robin Williams is, as far as I'm concerned, a brilliant man. He had just the way his mind worked and the way he just was able to just come with so much stuff right off the bat. It was always just amazing to me. That was always like, wow, I want to do that. That is what I want to be, and that's what I've always strived to be. I think it's why I talk really fast, too, is because I've tried to train my brain to think that fast, but even I don't think I'll ever be able to be as fast and as lightning quick as Robin Williams was. I don't think it'll ever be quite that brilliant. I mean, the man was just an amazing human being. He was an amazing human being. He had so much life experience, and he was just an astonishing human being, and it still makes me sad now thinking about it, because it's like, we really did lose something great when he died, and brilliant man. I think he made the one quote that really helped me early on with my act when I was doing theater stuff, and even still now. It's the one Robin Williams quote that no one else quotes, not that I've seen publicly anyway, but it's one that I always remember, where he just says, if you know who you are, you know what you do, why you do it, and that kind of frees you up to be other things and to be other people. And that one's like always a big quote that's worked for me, because I think that's like, okay, that's kind of what it means to be an actor, and that's kind of what really drove me forward into my acting career. And that's what still drives me now. And when I make new characters, like make up some like comic and stuff like that, like even when I'm still working on now, then unfortunately I had to start over from the beginning because my old laptop crashed and I lost all the progress on that project, so I got to start all over again, which sucks, but I'll get done eventually. But other role models, I think, would be like Dr. Cox from Scrubs is also a big influence of mine. Kind of for a lot of the same reasons, a lot of just coming up with just weird topics off the top of your head and just a lot of dry wit. I think it's where I got a lot of my sarcasm was from Dr. Cox growing up. He was another big role model. Another third role model I had, and I think it's where a lot of my angry humor comes in, is from a comedian, Christopher Titus, who taught me a lot, oddly enough, taught me a lot about life as I was growing up, and really helped me kind of just think more about how life works through the act of comedy. I always thought that was a brilliant thing he did. He always found a way to... His comedy was very angry and very, like, out there and very kind of weird and maybe a little bit off-putting, but there was always a point to it. There was always a central point that he was making. I always really liked that about his comedy. It's something I've always tried to emulate. Actually, I've actually met him. I've met him 3 times. I've gone to a few of his comedy shows. Great man. Very nice. Much nicer than he, quite frankly, should be to a guy like me. But yeah, I think that properly answers that question. So let's move on to the next one. Alright, question number 6. When it comes to your gaming reviews, which 3 styles do you go out of your way to play, and 3 styles you try hard to stay away from? Alright. As far as game goes, the big games, I go for story games. That's really my big appeal. If you see the list of games I have reviewed that I've really liked, they're all story-based. I mean, like, if it's got good characters, it's got a good story, if it stirs strong emotions, I'm in. I don't care what genre it is. I don't care what kind of game it is. I will play it all the way through. If it has a good story and has good characters, that's something I can fall into. Even though it's a walking simulator, which a lot of people hate, but I'm actually perfectly okay with walking simulators. But those are the games I usually go for. Those are the big ones. And I wrote this answer down because this one I keep kind of forgetting. I mean, I guess another one popular one I go for right now is a lot of horror games. Horror games are very popular at the moment, and we're kind of lucky in that right now, at least in the indie market, we got a lot of really good horror games. They've gotten a lot more creative with it. They've gotten a lot more innovative. Maybe innovative is too strong of a word, but either way, it feels like they're doing more with them than what they did with it in the past. So that's exciting. And there's a lot of great examples out there for horror games like Amnesia or Soma or like other games like that nature. For a third kind, mystery games. Yes, I love mystery games. Those are the ones I'm always a sucker for. That's why back when I had a 3DS, I still have it around here somewhere. not 3DS, like a DS. Like, I always play the Phoenix Wright games. I love anything with a good story, a good mystery to it. I love trying to put pieces together. I love courtroom stuff. That was just always fun for me too. I've always loved games where I tell me like figure out the story on my own. Those always been really, really fun for me. As far as games I try to avoid, joke games like Goat Simulator or I Am Bread or any of those Surgeon Simulator, any one of those fucking games. That just feels like a monumental waste of time. And I get that's the point. I get that's what they're supposed to be. But god damn it, they're so annoying. They're so obnoxious, and it's dumb. And I don't get what the joke is supposed to be. It's just nonsense. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense the way this game exists. There really is no reason other than the fact like, oh, it's funny because it's random. Ooh, that's not a joke. You need to tell jokes for it to be funny. Just because, oh, you're a goat, you fly around, that's not funny. Oh, you're a piece of bread, you could drag it. What the fuck is that? So I got a little more angry at that than I intended. I just don't get those games. I understand what they're supposed to be, but I don't get the appeal. I don't get why that's funny. I don't get a lot of what people consider funny today. I don't know. Maybe I'm old-fashioned when it comes to comedy, but anyway. I mean, I guess I'm not big on online shooters right now either. I don't know. I have nothing against the gameplay or anything like that, but I just find the online community so toxic and so unbearable, and it is like, I don't usually play online shooters unless it's with friends I know. It's like, otherwise, like, it just feels like I just don't want to get screamed at by fucking teenagers. And I mean, I just played Metal Gear Solid Online for 5 minutes one time, and almost immediately someone just started shouting out the N-word. I was like, fucking really? Really? Okay. This is why I stopped playing online games. And it just also brings out a very ugly side of me. I get very angry. I get very frustrated. And it's not a good side of me either. I don't like who I become playing those games. That's for a third kind of games I try to avoid. I'm not a big RTS fan. There's never in my genre. I don't know. I don't like to think too hard when I'm playing video games unless it's like a story-based game. It's like, if I'm gonna play in a game, I just want to kill things. Like, I don't want to have to think strategically. That's not what I want to do. I want to think tactfully. I want to think in the moment. That's my strength. I've never been much of a strategic thinker. I'm a tactical thinker. That's how I've always been. I'm also not a big fan of like platformers that exist just to be difficult, like Super Meat Boy and stuff like that. I don't know. Those games are not the kind of games I just get really, really angry and I get really, really frustrated. I just don't like who I become. That's not fun for me. If it is for you, good for you. That one, at least I can understand the appeal of those kind of games. They're just not for me because I get too angry and I just get too frustrated and it's not fun. If it stops being fun, why am I wasting my time playing it? That's kind of my viewpoint on that. So I think that answers that question. So yeah, let's move on to the last question. Alright, last question. I save this question for last because it's one I get quite a lot. Are you going to review any more religious films? We're looking into it. Okay, we have some on the schedule. We're gonna try to tackle more this year. We know they're in huge demand. People just, I know you don't care what I really think of these movies. You just want to see me rant and rave about religious movies, and God knows a lot coming out this year, just in the next few months alone. So we'll try. That's the best I can do right now. Wes said he'll do them, so I'll try to bug him into doing it. Worst case, I could probably talk other people into doing it, but we'll try to knock him out. We'll try to see more of them. We'll suffer our way through them for your amusement, because, you know, I appreciate you guys, and I'll sacrifice myself to do it, to entertain you. So, yeah, we'll try. We'll try to see what we can do this year. We'll hopefully keep it consistent, try to see as many as we can, as many as I can talk people into, and we'll just, I don't know, we'll see where it goes. So that was the last question for the Q&A session, guys. Excuse me. If you have any questions you would like to ask, make sure email me at michaelthecomicnerd@gmail.com, and I'll answer your email promptly, and when we get enough new questions, I will probably make another Q&A video. So, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of whatever the hell I'm making next. Bye-bye.